I was a patient at Waterman Hospital in Tavares. I was a cancer patient. And even though I always believed in the one God, and I was indeed of a spiritual nature, I'd been brought up in two faiths, a Jew and a Catholic. And so I was very confused growing up. And I'd lived in Israel also for 10 years. And so really I was even more confused by this time. When I came to the hospital for treatment, I was very much in need of my God, and I prayed often, as you can imagine, when you have cancer. And I noticed in this hospital that there were scripture sayings all over the walls. There were pictures of Jesus Christ, and I thought, how interesting. I didn't realize it was a hospital that was based on Christian teachings. So I looked at those and I felt good with that. And when I was having radiation treatments, I called out to Christ, which was interesting, because I hadn't really done that before. But I kept repeating his words every radiation treatment I had: by my faith I am healed, which is what Christ obviously said. By your faith you are healed. So you can only say that and be healed if you really believe it. And so from that time, I started to read both the Old and New Testament avidly. And I got through the whole Bible in like 6 months. But in the meantime, we had a Christmas party here at Waterman, and Faye Rose, who I'd not met up to that point, was a chaplain. And she and I really hit it off. And so I kept that in the back of my head, who she was. And so there were times when I was struggling, and with my treatments, with everything, of course, as one does. And then one day I went in to see her. I think I made an appointment, and I went in to speak with her about my spirituality, about my relationship, and really more about Jesus Christ. Because I said, this is amazing. It makes me feel good to talk about him, but I don't really know him. And so she gave me some booklets, she gave me counseling, she helped me with this. I continued to read my Bible, and then I started to listen to Christian stations on the radio as I was getting better and I could get into the car and drive. And at that time, all there seemed to be was a Christian station with music, and so Christian songs. So I would sing along with them. And then it came to Christmas time, and the same radio station was playing Jingle Bells and Red-Nosed Reindeer, and something inside me, I guess God was telling me, hey, this doesn't sound right for a Christian station. So I was frantically trying to find another station on the radio that were a Christian station. And lo and behold, I found this 91.5. And it wasn't just music and music and music, it was meaty, because by now I was getting more and more into the Bible, and I wanted to learn more, and I didn't belong to a church. I'd met my future husband by then, he's a Christian.
And I've heard other Christian channels too, but this kept, you know, the more they were talking about different subjects, the more intrigued I was that they had different keys to open up the scripture. So and they interpreted some of the words that I just read over before, and now I'm hearing different things, and we're both excited about it because we, especially Sandra, she wanted to get more truth out of it. And I could answer a lot of her questions, but she wanted more.
and we didn't have a church to go to. We were just reading the Bible. And this seemed to me fantastic because there were sermons, there were snippets of scripture, there was health education. It was just a great channel to me. It was 91.5, is 91.5, and I was very excited about finding this station. And I told Faye Rose, and she was excited as well. And then I began to want to be part of a church. And I said to David, we really need to be part of a community.
So we joined a church locally in town, and we were there, and they had a Bible study, but it wasn't a Bible study to per se looking, going through the scripture and finding the truth throughout the word. It was more like he was telling us what it was about, and it left a funny taste in both our mouths. There's something wrong here. And finally she said, well, maybe we can find another Bible study.
And after listening to 91.5 for quite a while, we were obviously very excited about it. And we realized after hearing for a few months that this was predominantly Seventh-day Adventist denomination. And that got us onto a quest of finding out who Seventh-day Adventists were. And in turn, that got me looking then for a Seventh-day Adventist church.
The early years, I'm a lay speaker for the Methodist Church, and always hungry for the truth. And it seems like I wasn't being fed enough. It seems like I was getting the same square meal, and I just was hungry for more truth, and it was like putting a puzzle together. The more you read, I like to read the Bible to figure out what is really going on and what time it is nowadays.
So I think that God just led us to this series of events. Went to Faye Rose. I said, is there any way that we could have a Bible study? And she said, well, sure, we'll have a Bible study. I said, oh, that would be great. David and I would really like to study the Bible. And then somehow all the links came together, that this is a Seventh-day Adventist church, she's a Seventh-day Adventist, the radio is a Seventh-day Adventist radio station, and we had basically been asking for a church, for a station. We still didn't have our church, but God had led us to all these unfoldings. And we started with the Bible study, and within a couple of weeks, I think Faye Rose invited Obed and Coretta Graham, who are elders at the church at North Lake, which I'd heard on the radio station, but didn't quite get the whole connection.
So that brought the Grahams into our life, and he's like an encyclopedia for the Bible. He's on health questions, on interpretations, and it just woke us both right up.
So they came, and we talked about the radio station at the Bible study before and after. And then Faye Rose and Coretta and Obed said, try our church, come. It's a Saturday. That became a problem because I worked on a Saturday. I worked every weekend. And I'd been doing this for 5 years. And I said, well, how can I come on a Saturday? I said to David, I work. So it became obvious that I had two choices. I either don't work on a Saturday or I don't go to a church, this church. So I prayed about it, we prayed about it. I ended up taking a day off work and going there with David. And we loved it. The minute we walked in the church, it was like, wow, this is it.
And the first day it was like deja vu. I know these people. It's like family. You talk to anybody, about anything, and it felt like we belong there. So we've been faithful. Every Saturday on Sabbath, we show up and have our fellowship, and it just amazes me that they come out with the truth, and they show you where the truth lies. You don't have to guess about it. It's there, right there in front of you. Plus, they have a Sabbath school that we go to earlier at 9:15, and that really brightens you up too. I mean, I thought I knew my scripture, but after finding these little keys that they point out, it just makes everything connect.
So everything I'd heard on the radio station, the 91.5 radio station, here was the same message. And what Faye Rose had been really talking to me about at the hospital was the same message. And it all rang true. And it all rang true of Christ. So it just felt right, and David felt the same way. He knew that it was right. The Saturday, though, became the problem. So Seventh-day Adventists obviously have worship on the seventh day, which I had done in Israel on the Jewish side. So that wasn't a problem, but here I had been running a shop. So after we prayed about it, I finally decided to close the shop on a Saturday. Nobody gets to work there. You don't take anybody in as a hired help. You don't pay somebody to come in. You close the shop. So I did that. And we continued then to go to the North Lake Church and on Emerald Island. And it was wonderful. And then we got baptized several months after that. No, not so much, maybe 2 months after that. And Faye Rose baptized us. So the connection was just amazing. It was like one big circle. And now I'm going to be closing the shop completely at the end of March. And we study Bible together every Wednesday, go to church regularly, and getting more and more involved and knowing more and studying more. And Faye Rose also got us for our baptism the 3ABN network and Hope Channel.
It's a miracle that God led us to this church. And I worked at the hospital here, Seventh-day Adventist, and I knew about the Seventh-day Adventists, and everybody, oh, they're the ones that go to church on Saturday, and they don't want you to work, and you know, but it seemed like I was kind of going with the flow. But now that I really found out the people that are behind, that are in the church, it's like long lost friends, you know.
So it's amazing in a short period of time, from being really deathly ill, praying to Christ, and then the leading to this amazing church. Now, what could be more? To me, this is evidence. Evidence of a great God, evidence of Christ, evidence that He is our Messiah. And there's been many, many evidences since then, and I should start writing them down. Because you just know, when God places you in the right place at the right time, for a reason, you know that this is His way. It's a narrow way, it's not an easy way, but it's the way. So that's my story.